Well, it may or may not have come as much of a surprise to Ontarians, but Standard & Poor's downgraded Ontario's credit rating from a AA- to an A+. It sounds like it got better. It didn't. This is the second time it's been lowered since 2009. Christine VanGeyn, the Ontario Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, joins me now. Let me start just there. Were you surprised at all? Because, of course, the rating was downgraded in 2009 after they had been put on watch. Then in 2012, they were put on downgrade watch again. We've been waiting for a few years, and finally, just last night after the markets closed, we saw it downgrade. What do you think?
I mean, it's been a trend for a few years. They warned us in 2012 that there was a 1 in 3 chance that unless this premier changed her spending ways, there was going to be a credit downgrade. So not a surprise. Maybe the timing is a surprise, but following the budget that was introduced in April, no, I'm not surprised.
What does it mean for the average Ontarian that the credit rating's been downgraded, for someone who doesn't really pay attention to sort of financial politics?
Yeah, so just like your own personal credit score, everyone has a credit score. Governments have credit ratings that are provided by international ratings agencies. When your personal credit score is lower, that means it costs more to borrow money. So it's going to cost more for Ontario to borrow now. We already are paying $11.4 billion every year in interest alone. So the cost of borrowing is just going to increase now.
And of course, the interest is all paid on the dime of the taxpayers, is that right?
Yes, exactly. So it means that what otherwise could be spent on, services that matter to Ontarians is basically being thrown away on what will now be higher interest rates.
Well, I mean, consider that, $11.4 billion. What could you buy with $11.4 billion? I don't know, a million yachts or something like that. What was interesting to me is we saw Charles Sousa, the finance minister, come out and say that, he thought that the outlook was stable. What do you make of that? I mean, to me, it's exemplary of the ultimate hubris of a government that has been plagued by scandal and then was reelected with a majority. But your take?
Well, the very fact that it's been downgraded, of course, means that the credit situation in Ontario is not stable.
It's because of the debt? I mean, is it a combination of the debt and the deficit? And
so what S&P said was that it was 3 factors. It was Ontario's incredibly large debt load, which stands at $314.5 billion. That debt level has increased by 127% since this government was elected in 2003. The other factor is the inability of this government to control spending, which is something that Don Drummond called on in 2012. And the third factor is simply the debt to GDP ratio in this province is almost at 40% now.
It's unbelievable. When we talk about this, we're talking specifically, of course, about the dime of taxpayers in Ontario, but more broadly speaking, what does this mean for Canadians across the country? Why should anyone in Alberta care, for instance?
So until the recession hit, Ontario's been the economic engine of this country. It's been, a net have province, but Ontario is now a recipient of transfer payments. And so that means that people who are living in Alberta, which has a AAA rating from S&P, they're going to be paying more to support the people in this province.
All right. And of course, tax dollars, right? That's
all tax dollars.
At the bottom line, that's what it ultimately comes down to,
exactly.
isn't it? All right, Christine, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me.